וזה נכון גם לאיראן. אנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע.
My direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel, and we're still assessing the impact. But based on what we know now, the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. And this is testament to Israeli military capability and U.S. military. It's also a testament to intensive planning between the United States and Israel to anticipate and defend against the brazen attack we expected. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
Well, the Israeli Defense Force says around 180 ballistic missiles were fired from Iran towards Israel during this major wave of attacks. We know that emergency service alerts were sent out very quickly to people's mobile phones, telling them to get into their shelter and to remain there, as 3 or 4 major waves of attacks took place, with multiple messages coming up on people's phones informing them of the locations. The Israeli Defense Force says there were some impacts, including here in Tel Aviv, where we saw flashes of light as some of those missiles landed, and also large explosions ringing out across the city. But the latest information we have is that there were no Israeli casualties in all of this, and they are putting that down to the fact that around 10 million people across this country heeded that warning and remained in the shelter as this attack took place. We are also hearing from the United States that they worked closely with their Israeli counterparts to try and intercept as many of these missiles as they could. We understand 2 US warships took part, as well as fighter jets in the sky, intercepting them as they arrived. Right now, the big question remains around what will happen next. Certainly many of the signals that we are hearing out of the Israeli Defense Force is that some sort of response is coming. We have a statement which I can read to you just briefly, saying Iran's attack is a severe and dangerous escalation, according to the IDF, and there will be consequences. We will respond wherever, whenever, and however we choose, in accordance with the directive of the government of Israel. A clear sign there that Israel does plan to respond directly against Iran for this ballistic missile attack. And that, of course, then throws open the very concerning question around whether this causes a wider war right across West Asia. In Tel Aviv, Trent Murray, NDTV.
We also have Ghazali joining us from New Delhi for more on this. Ghazali, can you provide specific information as far as the number of missiles launched, damage, casualty and targeted locations within Israel are concerned, one? And how has the Israeli government and military responded? We believe that Israel's military has signaled it would retaliate, though it hasn't provided specific details of how or when it would respond. So if you can take us through the ongoing defensive operations that could be underway, and of course the casualty and the damage that has been caused as a result of this attack.
See, as per the number of missiles launched from Iran are concerned, it was around 181. That was the figure which was shared by different social media handles of Israel's foreign ministry. What kind of damage has been inflicted on Israel? So as per the US and Israel's statement, perhaps there was not maximum damage. There has been no casualty except one person in Jericho area of Israel, who was actually a Gaza resident, as per the Israeli ministry, that who was in Israel, and he perhaps felt the impact of those missiles which were launched towards Israel, and he was killed. Besides that, there were minor injuries to some people. The real assessment of the damage has not yet come out, because we know that how overnight this attack has happened, and there have been reports from Iranian side that perhaps they have hit a couple of air bases. One of the most critical air bases of Israel has been hit, but Israel denies so. Israel and US say that perhaps their air defense system managed to intercept maximum of those missiles which were launched from Iran. US also said that they also helped Israel in intercepting all these missiles which are coming from Iran. Now, coming to the next part, that what would be the retaliation and why Israel has not responded yet. One, this particular attack by Iran has cleared a lot of, a confusion in the region. Perhaps one, that till yesterday, before the attack, most of the Western commentators or those Iran watchers or Israel watchers were claiming that Hezbollah is at its weakest web, ebbed, and Iran has lost most of its allies as part of the axis of resistance in the Middle East. But yesterday's attack showed that perhaps the public pressure in Iran has worked, and that is why Iran was forced to retaliate. Second, that the air defense system, though Israel claims that most of it was intercepted and no maximum damage was inflicted on Israel, the visuals clearly show that these missiles managed to get through these systems, or these systems didn't manage to sort of intercept most of the missiles, because it got overwhelmed with the number of missiles which are launched from Iran. Third, what will be the retaliation? The retaliation, it seems that it is very imminent now, because even before Iran had launched these missiles, by afternoon yesterday, US had already informed Israel that Iran is moving its missiles within the country, and there is very possibility that it will retaliate. Now, a couple of days ago, we heard Mr. Netanyahu saying, addressing Iranians, saying that perhaps very soon a regime change will happen, very soon Iranians will be free. So Israel had already made up its mind that it will retaliate against Iran and what it calls preemptive strike, that before somebody rises up to kill you, you hit them hard. Okay. So a big escalation is certainly sort of inevitable right now. And the second very important point, what Iran yesterday did by issuing a statement, is that it has also warned regional players not to join hands with US and Israel. Now, those regional players, as multiple reports suggested, that perhaps Jordan has also managed to intercept those missiles which are crossing its airspace to enter into Israel. Sure. UAE, Saudi, they have all been very skeptical, because in the past, Iran and its proxy allies have hit their oil fields as well. So that is a given case now, that it is leading towards the bigger escalation.
Absolutely, Ghazali. Thanks very much for joining us with those details there. As Ghazali is pointing out, the Iron Dome perhaps significantly failed in intercepting those missiles as well. And almost inevitable now is a full-blown war as far as West Asia is concerned. Diplomatic efforts have clearly failed. But listen in to what External Affairs Minister S. Shankar had to say post the attack.
We regard October 7th as a terrorist attack. We understand that Israel had a need to respond. But we also believe that any response by any country has to take into account international humanitarian law, that it must be careful about any damage or any implications for civilian populations. And that given what has happened in Gaza, it is important to have some kind of international humanitarian effort out there.